What's up, guys? It's Jay, MorninAfterKill, and I'm back here with some more Borderlands pre-sequel news and information. If you've been following my channel or Borderlands news in general, the Borderlands pre-sequel is a brand new standalone Borderlands game that takes us to the moon base of Elpis and follows the rise of Handsome Jack to Hyperion power. And along the way, we get to take control of 4 previously non-playable characters as Athena from the General Knox DLC, Nisha the Lawbringer, who is the Sheriff of motherfucking Lynchwood, Wilhelm, who's fucking Wilhelm, and then we have Claptrap. It's just pretty much fucking Claptrap from every other Borderlands games ever. And I know that gets a little bit annoying every time you watch a Borderlands pre-sequel video from me, that I give you a little bit of a rundown of the game, but do remember that you are not the only person watching this, and there are a lot of people out there that don't know about Borderlands or the Borderlands pre-sequel, and I want to give them just a little bit of a rundown in the video in case this is the first Borderlands pre-sequel game or video that they ever seen. And those of you guys out there that do love the Borderlands community, you shouldn't have a problem with that, because we are trying to grow our community as large as possible so everybody can enjoy these motherfucking games that we motherfucking love. So, today, we are going to be taking a look at the last 2 skills on Athena's melee tree, which was shown yesterday in the brand new gameplay that 2K released on IGN's channel. If you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at that, I will link it down below because I always link my sources where I get my information from. It is only right, it's only proper, and the link will be down there for you guys to go ahead and enjoy. So, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at these 2 skills, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the tree. And if you still have a little bit of questions about the rest of the skills in the tree, I will put the original melee tree breakdown of Athena at the end of this video instead of just linking it in the description down below, because you already got a video down there to check out with a new gameplay of Athena, and I figured you don't want to go and watch another fucking video. You're already here, so let's just put that video at the end of this video so you don't have to go clicking around the goddamn motherfucking internet all over the place and get internet AIDS. So, the first missing skill is Tear. Now, Tear increases gun damage to bleeding targets, and it's a 7% bonus with 1 skill point. And the other skill is Fury of the Arena, which gives you increased fire rate and reload speed for each bleeding target on the battlefield, and both fire rate and reload skill are increased in equal amount, which appears to be 2% per skill point set. So, even though these last 2 skills in her melee tree aren't really earth-shattering or groundbreaking, the very cool thing is, once again, we're seeing some balanced synergy between these skills, more so than you would see in Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 1. These are a little bit more in-depth trees, and I could see Athena at late game kind of playing out something like this. You're walking along on the moon, you're like, oh look, there's a bunch of enemies. I'm gonna use either a Singularity Grenade or her Epicenter skill, which slams down, sucks them all together, groups up the enemies, and then you can apply bleed to multiple enemies by meleeing them, which activates health regeneration, and as the enemy dies, it's gonna activate your kill skill Mercurial, which is gonna give you movement speed and damage resistance, which should give you enough health regeneration and resistance to make it to the next group of enemies to rinse and repeat. And this is all without taking into effect Athena's shield skills and her Blood Rush Capstone, or the You've Got Red skill, where enemies fucking explode! They fucking explode when they die from your melee attack. So it seems like it's gonna be a very formidable skill tree for sure, and it's gonna work really kind of like how Wilhelm's last 3 skills, Emergency Response, Divert, Power, and Vengeance Cannon, all work together in a tandem. Her bleed skills are all going to be working together to kind of create this whole whirlwind effect of Athena just moving through the battlefield and just whooping ass all over the place. But my favorite thing about the skill tree is that it's actually split into two. If you take a look, the first half of the skill tree, it gives her skills like Clarity of Purpose and Gun Kata, which are upgrades to melee and gun damage. So even staying in the top two skills, this tree will give you a significant amount of damage bonus. And on the other half of the top half of the tree, you have Kill Skill and Omega Senju, which is basically like Kill and Blow, except it works for all types of damage. What? So, even if you don't want to spec down into Rend, which is the second half of the skill tree, which gives you all the bleed status effects, you can still pick up a few skills up top to round out your build, and it's still going to look very worthwhile to invest a few points to at least grab Gun Kata and Omega Senju for some pretty serious damage bonus, especially if you're kind of like me and you spend a little bit of extra time and fight for your life. That extra damage bonus under 50% of health, that's gonna really help you out. So, like I said, even though the last two skills that we took a look at on this tree aren't the craziest skills ever, they make sense from a skill tree standpoint. And since I've already done a rundown on all the other skills, I want to let you guys enjoy that video if you haven't seen any of her melee skill trees. So, my name is Jay, MorninAfterKill. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys rate, comment, subscribe. If you could leave a thumbs up on the video, I'd highly appreciate it because it gives me motivation to make more videos for you motherfuckers that watch my motherfucking videos. There is a lot more information on the pre-sequel to go over this weekend. And it's going to be some Destiny shit too, because that's a thing right now. So, like I said, my name's Jay, MorninAfterKill. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And if you want to check out the rest of the skill tree, stay tuned. You're going to get, quote-unquote, like a repeat. Like a repeat. But you don't have to go click to find the information. I want all the information in one video. And I feel like that was a pretty strong video. So I'm going to stop rambling on. I'm going to let you guys get to see the rest of this motherfucking skill tree. So, like I said, thanks for watching. I'm going to see you guys later. What's up, guys? Jay, MorninAfterKill, and I'm back here with some more Borderlands pre-sequel, pre-release news, and information. If you haven't been following my channel, or Borderlands pre-sequel news in general, the Borderlands pre-sequel is a full release game that is coming out in October 14th for America and October 17th worldwide, and will take place between Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2, and will follow Handsome Jack on his rise to Hyperion Overlord. And it also features 4 previously non-playable characters from the Borderlands franchise and puts us in control of Athena from the General Knox DLC, Wilhelm from Borderlands 2, and we also have Nisha, who is the Sheriff of Lynchwood, and for the first time ever, we have a playable Claptrap. That's right! Claptrap will be a playable character inside of this game. So, last time we took a look at Athena, we went through her entire Aspen shield tree and also took a look at her elemental skill tree. Now, even though the skills for the melee tree that I'm about to show you have been out since E3, I wanted to hold back on making this video to see if I couldn't compile a list of every skill inside of the melee tree like I did for Athena's shield and Wilhelm Cyber Commando, but sadly, I could only hunt down one extra skill that wasn't shown at E3, but I also found a few extra screenshots of what some of these skills will look like maxed out, some of which were not shown as E3 as well. So, first off, we have the skill Clarity of Purpose, which gives us increased melee damage and maximum health. When you invest 5 skill points out of 5, you'll have 25% extra melee damage and 15% extra health. Now, if you take a look, this skill is being boosted by the Celestial Gladiator class mod, and in the other Athena videos, we've already talked about this. We've shown this to be an orange legendary rarity class mod with 6 boosted skills on the actual weapon card, which is absolutely amazing, and it's 2 skills on each of the 3 skills that Athena has. So it's kind of cool that 2K is spreading these skills around and giving us just a little bit of reason to kind of, you know, I guess experiment with some of the other skill trees inside her arsenal. So moving on to the other tier 1 skill, we have Gun Kata, which increases gun and melee damage for a short duration after landing a bullet on an enemy. So all you have to do is shoot an enemy once. This skill will proc and will give you extra gun damage and melee damage for a short period of time. This is the second skill we've seen boosted by the Celestial Gladiator class mod, and maxed out 5 out of 5, you'll get 15% gun damage and a healthy 50% melee damage. And if you go ahead and overcharge this with the class mod, 6 out of 5 will give you 18% gun damage and a whopping 60% melee damage. It's a hell of a skill. So we're gonna go ahead and hop down to the second tier, and we're gonna take a look at the skill called Mercurial. Now this is activated when you do get a kill, and it gives you extra damage resistance and movement speed for a few seconds. Now, 1 skill point in this skill gives us an 8% movement speed and 5% damage resistance buff. Now, I've only seen this skill spec'd with 1 out of 1, but the next tier, if you put 2 out of 5 into this skill, you'll get 16% movement speed and 10% damage resistance, which it's reasonable to infer that 5 out of 5, we're gonna get 40% movement speed and 25% damage resistance, which seems more than adequate to close in on an enemy for another kill. So I can see why this is an actual kill skill instead of being a static buff that you'll have all the time, because 40% movement speed, it's nothing to laugh at. We just laughed at it. So anyway, moving on to the right, we have Omega Senshu. And Omega Senshu deals increased damage to any enemy that has less than half of their maximum health remaining. 1 skill point of this will give you 7% extra damage. This sounds like it works pretty similar to Zero's Killing Blow, but also works with more than just melee damage, which, if Zero had a skill like this, would have made him a pretty effective melee hybrid gun build motherfucker. So, the middle tree skill is a 1-of-1 skill, which is called Rend. Now, this is pretty much the showstopper of the skill tree. This is going to be the skill that you want to spec into if you're going to be playing a melee Athena, because specking into Rend will have your melee attacks inflict a status of bleed on your enemies. So, bleed causes a damage over time that is increased by all your melee skill bonuses. What? That sounds absolutely amazing. And if that isn't the coolest part of it, the higher health that your target has, the more damage bleed will cause to an enemy. So bleed lasts for 12 seconds and deals up to 100% bonus damage against enemies with high health. And if you watched my other video that I've talked about a little bit about the developers and that interview they gave like last week, where they mentioned that there's going to be raid bosses inside the game, but something they were looking for like DLC for the game and not the vanilla, this looks like another indicator that the pre-sequel will have some pretty high health raid bosses inside of this game. So moving on right below, we have another 1 out of 1 skill called Epicenter. And this is pretty straightforward. This skill creates a singularity grenade effect, which basically pulls every enemy near you inside of the blast radius. When you do an ass slam, it just sucks everybody right next to you. Sucks them off. This is actually very cool though, because I've been saying for a long motherfucking time that melee characters need some sort of gear or skill that has a singularity pull effect. It's just too bad that this one doesn't happen when you go and fight for your life either, because that would help against those scumbag backpedaling enemies. When you're like, you know, fully spec'd into melee damage, and you're trying to shoot an enemy, and you don't really have any gun damage skills. Yeah, if you played melee, you know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, anyway, in the same tier to the left, we have Bloodlust. Now, Bloodlust is amazing. It gives you health regeneration whenever you make an enemy bleed. Now, this effect stacks if you have multiple enemies bleeding, and 1 out of 5 skill point gives you 2% of your maximum health per second per bleeding enemy. And if that continues along that trend, it seems 5 out of 5 into this skill could possibly give us 10% health regeneration per second per bleeding enemy. What? That can be very, very useful, especially if you remember Borderlands 2, back before the Evolution Shield and Blood of the Seraphs combo was nerfed. You used to be able to sit there and restack the Blood of the Seraphs until you got an amazing like 20 to 25% health regeneration, and that right there regen your health very, very fast. And if you get 10% per enemy bleeding, I could see you getting up to 20% if you stab 2 or 3 enemies. That is it's gonna be quite useful. So directly underneath Bloodlust, you have a skill called You Got Red on You. And the reason I do that in a British accent is because you ever seen a movie called Shaun of the Dead? In the beginning, somebody was like, you got red on you, because he had like a little bit of ink on him. People were like, you got red on you. And then later on, during the zombie apocalypse, he had a bunch of blood on. People were like, you've got red on you. Yes. It's a great reference to Shaun of the Dead. But this skill will cause any enemy that dies while they're bleeding or from your melee attack, it'll cause them to explode. Sounds pretty similar to Blood Explosion, except for the fact that it doesn't chain out among enemies, but enemies that are in the blast radius will not only take damage from the blast, but they will have a status effect of being grossed out placed upon them. And the increase in the skill by skill points increases the radius that Bloodlust actually works upon. So I want to talk about this gross out thing really quick, because there's a similar mechanic in South Park: The Stick of Truth, where grossed out enemies would become temporarily dazed / removed from battles. And I hope this is the return of a Borderlands 1 style movement, speed daze. You remember Borderlands 1, you could kind of punch an enemy if you had Lilith's, skill that, dazed enemies, and they would move really, really slow, and you can go ahead, kind of eliminate them from battle while you pick off the bigger enemies, and then you can go ahead and use those as buff pinatas, or to get yourself a fight for your life, second wind. But that's a pretty great mechanic in Borderlands 1 that I don't remember really coming back in Borderlands 2, except in the Tiny Tina DLC, where a lot of the skeletons perform that goddamn fucking movement speed daze on you. It's pretty shitty, but I'm seriously excited if it returns into Borderlands the pre-sequel, because the movement dazing, that added a little bit of extra element to the battlefield, made things just a little bit more variety. That's what we need inside this game, especially since a lot of us have been playing Borderlands for quite some time. Need a little bit of that extra variety to keep our attention. So last but not least, we have her Capstone Blood Rush, which is a melee override skill. Now, this is basically a mix between Zero's Capstone, Many Must Fall, and his melee override Execute, since this allows you to dash at an enemy from a distance and strike them with your shield. So, unlike Execute for Zero, this skill on Athena actually has a cooldown. So, I'm fairly certain you're not going to see any flying Athenas like Zero was in Borderlands 2, because if you use Zero's Execute on a flying enemy, you can kind of lift himself up and keep executing after the enemy that's flying. Kind of do a little bit of soaring with Zero. But if you apply a bleed to an enemy that isn't bleeding, or it kills an enemy, the cooldown is immediately reset, and the cooldown is only 10 seconds, so it's not that big of a deal, but it sounds just as deadly as Execute was. But this time around, you're gonna have to be a little bit more precise with your dashes, rather than just spamming the Execute button so you get around the battlefield pretty fast. So, the upside is that you don't have to be inside of a Deception-style action skill for it to work, but you have to be precise and you can't really spam it, or else you're gonna have to lose your cooldown and wait 10 seconds for it to come back, which, like I said, isn't that big of a deal, but it's enough to make you not want to just sit there kind of spam the melee override. So, that's Athena's melee skill tree. Now, while I don't think that it's a powerhouse skill tree like Wilhelm's Cyber Commando has the potential to be, it does seem very capable and centered towards mobbing and being an overall general distraction on the battlefield. However, it seems like if you get kind of used to playing with her and you get into a little bit of a rhythm, she seems quite deadly, especially if you go ahead and put this with either her elemental skill tree or her shield tank tree. You can kind of see that Athena she's gonna be a beast. I still don't think she's gonna be as strong as Wilhelm though, because Wilhelm's a fucking monster. So, my name is Jay, MorninAfterKill. I want to thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys rate, comment, subscribe. If you could, leave a thumbs up on the video, I'd highly appreciate it, because it gives me motivation to make more videos for you motherfuckers that watch my motherfucking videos. This was just a little bit of a preview, breakdown, first look at Athena's melee skill tree. We did miss 2 skills on this tree, which I have been hunting down forever, but we did get to see a few of the extra skills stacked all the way 5 to 5, and we did get to see an extra skill which wasn't shown off at E3, so it's pretty cool. It's alright, I guess, right? It's not that bad. So, like I said, my name's Jay, MorninAfterKill. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna see you guys later.